Most people think saving $10,000 is about having a high income, but that's not true. I started from $0. No big salary, no lucky break, nothing special. Just normal income, and a decision to completely change how I handled money. And step by step, I built my way up to $10,000 saved. It wasn't fast, it wasn't easy, and it definitely wasn't perfect. But it worked. Today we will talk about from $0 to $10,000 saved, exactly what I did step by step. So, before we start, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel. 10. I faced my real spending first. Before anything actually changed, I had to confront the reality of where my money was really going. I started tracking every single expense, even the smallest ones. And what I discovered honestly surprised me. It wasn't big purchases that were damaging my finances. It was the constant small spending I never paid attention to. Coffee runs, quick meals, random online orders, and tiny purchases that felt harmless in the moment but slowly built up over time. Individually, they didn't feel important. But together they were draining a large part of my money. When I finally saw everything clearly written down, it was uncomfortable to accept. But that discomfort was necessary because it exposed the exact habits holding me back. It made everything visible. And once something becomes visible, it becomes impossible to ignore or justify anymore. That moment was the real starting point of change. 9. I set a clear target. Instead of loosely saying I want to save money, I gave myself a very specific and measurable goal. $10,000. That clarity completely changed the way I approached money. When there is no clear target, spending becomes easy because nothing is guiding your decisions. You don't feel a strong reason to stop yourself in the moment. But once I had a fixed number in mind, every financial decision started to feel more intentional. I naturally began asking myself whether what I was about to spend was helping me get closer to that goal or pushing me further away from it. That simple mental shift turned saving from a vague idea into a focused mission. It gave direction to every choice. And that direction is what made consistency possible over time. 8. I started with small amounts. I didn't wait for a better job or a higher income before I started saving. I just began with whatever I had, even if it felt too small to make any real difference. At the beginning, the amount didn't look impressive at all, and honestly, it was easy to think it wasn't worth it. But that wasn't the point. The real focus was building the habit of saving consistently, not the size of the savings. Because once a habit becomes strong and automatic, the amount naturally starts to grow over time, without forcing it. Those small contributions slowly built momentum. And that momentum became the base of everything I achieved later. 7. I paid myself first. One of the biggest changes I made was completely flipping how I handled money. Instead of saving whatever was left at the end of the month, I started saving first the moment I got paid. That one shift changed everything. Before, I would spend normally and hope something remained for saving, which rarely worked. But now, saving came first, and my spending had to adjust around it. This removed the possibility of accidentally spending everything and waiting for leftovers. Over time, it made saving automatic instead of something I had to constantly think about or force myself to do. 6. I cut unnecessary spending. I didn't completely change my lifestyle. I just became more aware of where my money was leaking. When I looked closely, I realized a lot of spending wasn't actually necessary. Small impulse purchases, unused subscriptions, and habits that felt normal but added no real value were quietly draining my money. Cutting those didn't feel like losing anything important. It actually felt like plugging holes in a leaking system. Once those unnecessary expenses were removed, more money naturally stayed in my account without needing extra effort or discipline every day. 5. I used a simple budget rule. Instead of complicated systems and overthinking, I kept my budgeting very simple. I divided my money into just 3 categories: needs, savings, and personal spending. That simple structure gave me clarity. I didn't have to constantly guess or make emotional decisions anymore. I always knew where my money should go before I even spent it. This removed confusion and made it much easier to stay consistent. Simplicity made discipline realistic, because the system was easy enough to follow every single day without stress. 4. I stopped emotional spending. A big part of my money problem wasn't logical, it was emotional. I used to spend when I was bored, stressed, or just wanted a quick feeling of satisfaction. It wasn't real need, it was reaction. Once I became aware of that pattern, I started slowing down before every purchase. I created a small pause between the thought and the action. That pause changed everything. Most of the time, I realized I didn't actually need what I was about to buy. Over time, this awareness reduced emotional spending naturally without needing strict restrictions or pressure. 3. I increased my income slowly. Saving alone wasn't enough to reach my goal faster, so I also focused on increasing my income step by step. Nothing extreme or overnight, just small, consistent improvements. I looked for small side opportunities, improved how I used my time, and slowly developed skills that helped me earn more. Even small increases made a noticeable difference, because they directly added more to what I could save each month. It wasn't about doing something big or risky. It was about stacking small improvements consistently over time. 2. I stayed consistent even when it was slow. There were moments when progress felt almost invisible. Some weeks or even months didn't show any clear results, and honestly, it would have been easy to quit at that point. Nothing exciting was happening, and it felt like I was putting in effort without seeing anything in return. But I kept going anyway. I understood something important. Saving money is not a fast process. It's a slow and steady one. Real financial progress doesn't show up instantly. It builds quietly in the background when you repeat the right actions over and over again. Even when it felt like nothing was changing, I reminded myself that stopping would erase all the progress I had already built. So I stayed consistent, and over time, that consistency slowly turned into momentum. And that momentum is what eventually carried me all the way to my goal. 1. I made saving non-negotiable. The biggest and most powerful change happened in my mindset. Saving was no longer something I did only if there was money left at the end of the month. It became something I did automatically, no matter what. It stopped being a choice I debated and turned into a rule I followed without exception. This removed hesitation completely from the process. I stopped asking myself, should I save this month? And started operating on the assumption that saving already had to happen first, before anything else. That one shift eliminated all negotiation with myself. Once saving became non-negotiable, everything else in my financial life started to fall into place naturally. Spending became more controlled, decisions became clearer, and progress became consistent. In the end, it wasn't a single big moment that got me to $10,000. It was this one simple mindset change that made everything else work. What do you think about our video? Let me know in the comments below. Before you go, leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.